Hi, welcome to my messy house. My name is Tina Bevington. I'm the librarian for history at the University of Victoria. Today I want to show you my favorite databases. America History and Life is North American history, so Canada, US, and Mexico. Historical Abstracts is the rest of the world history. They're both all history all the time, and they're complete and total twinsies. So they both work exactly the same way. It's just that they have different coverage. So I actually got tired of explaining this to people, and I set it up so that if you use our URL to get into it, which you should do, then they'll be linked together and you're searching both at the same time. Canadian history especially is tied to the rest of the world in such a way that I find it very difficult to just use one or the other. So the default is that you're searching both together. You don't lose anything by doing that because they have the same exact features. You can just unhook one and search the other if you wish, but why would you want to do that twice? I'm not sure. So if your topic is extremely centered in one place only, you could think about doing that, but generally it doesn't hurt anything to search the larger body of information. So let me show you how to get there, and then we will jump into it. Here we go. So here's the UVic website, uvic.ca/library, where you need to come in so that you get authenticated and have access to everything I'm going to show you today. So log into uvic.ca if you haven't already, and you may be asked to log in again depending on what you choose to look at. So search options, databases, this is the most efficient way, and then we can either go to history or just straight to H, and then we will go to historical abstracts. So again, historical abstracts is world history, but we're searching both at the moment. So you can see show all, we're searching these two databases. This is an EBSCO brand database, so this interface might be very familiar to you, but know that each different database is searching in a different pool of information. This is the one for historians, by historians, and this goes back to 1955. So all the key history journals from all over the world since 1955. Imagine how much that would be on the shelf, but it's all here for you now. So it takes you to the basic search, which is probably just fine for whatever it is you're trying to do. It also prompts you to add a bunch of search options up front. These options are what we call non-subject parameters. These are things that have nothing to do with your subject, but have everything to do with the criteria for articles that you need for your assignment. Okay, so we're going to limit to academic journal. You can see what kinds of things are in here, but mostly it's academic journals. These are scholarly. And we're going to limit to article because that's what we need. And we're going to limit to English because that's what I can read at a scholarly level. My German's not up to any more than basic. You can also limit to peer-reviewed. That means the articles come from a peer-reviewed journal. Is everything in a peer-reviewed journal actually peer-reviewed? No, it is not. But the articles are, the research articles will be. That's really important. And by far the coolest thing about this is the lifespan. What's a lifespan, you ask? It's the era that the articles are about. This goes in decades. So I'm going to put 1700 to 1900. So I only want to see articles about those 200 years, basically. I'm just going to show you real quick here my thinking through my subject terms, because this is a process like any other. So my research question I didn't include here, but it's something like, what were the ecological effects of whaling in the early modern era on the Atlantic Ocean? Again, specific with boundaries, because I'm not writing a book, I'm only writing a paper. And I should also have in Atlantic here. So ecological effects of whaling in the Atlantic. So that's my research question. Basically, these are the words I pulled out of that question. Then I want to think about all the synonyms. So ecological or environmental, because the authors might use either of those words. Whaling, I don't have synonyms for whaling. I'm sure there are some, but you'd want to include those here. And then my time period, early modern or 18th century, and Atlantic. So that could be Atlantic Ocean or just Atlantic, but Atlantic is the key word there. So we're going to include that. And then I think about it as, what does the database want to see? How do I put this into the database in a functional way? So ecolog or environment with an asterisk. That asterisk is a really useful thing. It denotes a truncation of a word. So ecology, ecological, all the different forms of that word will come up if I put ecolog with an asterisk. Every database has its own set of tools and its own set of symbols. So you can look at the help files in a database and see which terms work. Sometimes they're question marks, sometimes they're asterisks. I happen to know that EBSCO likes the asterisks for this. So and whaling and early modern or 18th for my time period. And then I want to include and Atlantic in there. So 4 ideas, that's a good search. Any less than that, you're going to get way too much results to look at, and you don't want that for sure. So you may have other synonyms, include them all here. Just throw them in. If you get too much, you can narrow it down later. But remember, we're dealing with a very specific subset of information. These are just articles in just history journals since 1955. So what we want out of this is a small result set with very relevant articles. That's what we're hoping for. So this is sort of my thinking around how to do that. And then this early modern or 18th century idea that I can represent in actual numbers in the database using that error limit, which is much easier than trying to describe a time period. Anytime you try to describe a time period, you run into issues around it not being very precise, or different historians or different countries use different names for that time period, or historians don't agree on the boundaries of a time period or the time period of an event. It's just full of issues. So if you can at all, use numbers. Numbers are precise. Computers understand numbers, okay? So now I want to go back to my database. I've put in the lifespan here for myself, and I've chosen academic journal article in English. I checked peer reviewed. I did not pick full text on purpose. Full text here will only give you articles that this one database provides in full text, which is not very much, frankly. Most of our full text comes from other sources. This database will link you to those articles. But if you limit to full text at this point, you will never see them, and that's no good. We want you to have the most available resources that you can. So skip that for now, okay? So I could put that whole string in here in one long thing. You'll notice when I use the brackets, this goes back to your grade 3 math. You want to group like things together, and then it'll do the order of operations the same as it does in grade 3 math. But if I go to advanced search, it kind of does that for me. Okay, so here I can put whaling. That's one idea. In the second level, I can then put ecology or environment. And you'll see that it gives me suggestions. This is not the database being clever. This is the database saying, oh, someone else put that in and they put it in like this. So if you want to copy other people or take suggestions from other database searchers, you can certainly use that language, but it's not any smarter than asking your roommate. This is not the database being useful or showing off in any way. Then I'm going to put Atlantic in here because that's my geographic area. The history aspect is covered by the fact that this is an all history database. You don't have to put that in there. And the 18th century aspect is covered by the error limit that I put on up front. Okay, so I've got 3 ideas that go together: whaling, environment, and Atlantic. And then I also have an error limit applied. So let's run this search and see what we get out of it. We got 8 articles. You may think that's awful because you're used to Google, which gives you 8 million articles, but this is good actually. This means this is a good search, found some targeted things. it's going to be, these 8 things are going to be relevant to my topic. It's not going to suggest related things and give me more than I want. It's just going to give me things that actually match. I could have added a Canada in here, but I specifically didn't do that because my geographic limiter is the Atlantic Ocean, and I know that lots of countries border that and are engaged with that. So I didn't want to limit just to Canada specifically in this case, on purpose. So when you go to look at these articles now, you can read the title, and if the title is relevant or sounds interesting, you keep going and you keep assessing that article. If the title is way off, you know, the article is going to be way off and you move on to the next one. Okay, so this one is about Baffin Bay. So you can assess the titles first and just ignore anything that's not relevant at that stage. Moving on, you can look at the name of the journals. And if, you know, that's a clue as well as to what the article might be about or might focus on, that might be useful to you as well. Let's open this up, because if the title is relevant and the journal makes sense, this is something you might want to investigate further. So once we go into the article, you can see that structured data that I talked about in a previous video, subject terms. These are authorized subject headings. So anytime an article in this database talks about whaling, it will use the term whaling. It'll use the term climate change. Even if the author uses other words for climate change, it'll be tagged as climate change. This allows us to bring together articles from different authors, different places that may use different language but are on the same topic. So these are gold. Make note of these that are relevant to your investigation and use this language in the future. And this will stop you from having to come up with all the synonyms for climate change, for example. Okay. It's also a really brief summary for what the article is about, primarily about. So subject terms are very, very useful. Sometimes there's author-supplied keywords as well. This is not authorized language that's universal across the database. This is the words the one author said are super relevant to my paper. So in this case, enlightenment, that's another way to refer to the early modern period or parts of it. Again, you can see how tricky it is to talk about time. They talk about Moby Dick, the state of Virginia, the Pacific Ocean. This guy is talking about a lot of things. So you can also use this language and mine it for new words to try in your search. If this article is relevant, the same language may give you other relevant articles. And then what's really important here is the abstract. So read the abstract. It's a summary of the article. It's a very good summary, and it'll tell you right away if you want to carry on and read the full text or not. If the summary or the abstract is relevant and you're interested, then I want you to do 2 things. One is add this article to your folder. And the other one is to see how it's available over here on the other side of the screen in full text. So it's available in HTML, which means you can read it on the screen. It's available in PDF for download. And it's available from another database called Project Muse. Muse and JSTOR are 2 warehouse databases. They're not designed for clever searching. They're just a place to store archived articles. And then those get fed into all the subject-specific databases that do have good search tools. So you never have to go directly to JSTOR, directly to Muse, or databases like that, because they speak really well to all the other databases. Okay, but it is mentioned here, this article is available in full text from that source as well. So you've got 3 sources here for full text. We might even have more. But you can download the full text right now and save it to your computer, or do whatever you want to do, or you can just carry on with your searching and not lose that momentum. So we'll go back to the result list and do the same assessment on the rest of these 8 articles and put the ones you like in the folder. This one is very specific, Scottish overwinter whaling on Baffin Island. So I'm getting a sense that Baffin is an important site, geographical site for my topic. So once you have articles, you've gone through the list, you've picked out your short list of articles, then you can scroll back up to the top here. I'm going to move my head out of my way and look at the folder. So this folder, super useful. because it allows you to do a couple different things. One, it flags the articles you've already assessed. So you don't have to look at them again. When you run another search, you get some of the same articles again in your result list. You'll see that the folder's yellow and you don't have to look at that one again. That's an efficiency thing. Much more importantly is that you can email yourself this list at this point, or you can review your short list and kick a few things off of it and email yourself your short list. But email yourself this list. It's a record of what you've done. So any record of your work is a protection against accusations of plagiarism. That's really, really vital. Also, you have a record of your work for when you pick it up again the next day or in a couple of days. You can see, oh, here's what I did, here's what I found. Let me start from there, rather than starting over from scratch. So that's useful. And then also, it'll give you all the useful articles you found. It'll store them for you in your own email so that it's safe for you to find later. It's really important when you go to read things and when you go to cite things and write about these articles, you're going to want to have them handy. So if I tell myself to email this list, you see that it will send me the full text. So you don't have to download each thing individually. It'll also mail it to you. It'll also send you your current search history. So this will show you what search words you used and what you found using them. So you can either go right back to an existing result set and not have to rerun a search, or it'll allow you to see what you've already done so you don't try those same things again on the next day. You can tell it to send in whatever style you choose. So in history, we use Chicago Humanities. So you can have that sent to you in Chicago Humanities. You can see what it looks like and get used to that format. And when you have to make your own citations, you'll be comfortable. You'll see what that looks like. That's all so useful. So you'll put your email address in here, any email you want, doesn't have to be UVic. Give yourself a subject and comments. And then you'll get an email from EBSCOhost with all your articles in it in one place, safely stored for you with the full text. This is gold. So I just absolutely love this. I think everybody should use it, both as a safety measure and also for your own convenience. Okay, that's what you do in the folder. If you happen to be using a citation management software, you also export articles into it via this folder. But yeah, so if we go back again to the result list, and they kind of make that tricky. You can see here that on this side are the useful tools. So you can see your search terms that you used. You can see the limits you put on. You can also see which came out of which database. So even though it's one search, it's searching two databases, remember? So it found 6 articles in historical abstracts and 3 in American history and life. So if we had done them one at a time, we'd have to run the same search in 2 different places, which is just no good. So we're searching them together. Okay. You can also look at your search history, which again, it'll mail this to you if you send yourself that email, and it'll show you, here are the words that I used. Here are the search options I used. I can view those results. This will come to you in that email and you can run the search again and get the same result list again. Okay. When you have a number of these stacked up, you can also combine those searches, and you can say, combine this search with my 5th search and see what I get out of that. When you combine searches, you get less and less results. So that's something you want to use a bit carefully. I'm going to add another field here so that I can show you something useful. You can and these, which makes your result set smaller because you want to see all 3 terms in each article. You can use or, which broadens it because you're looking for either or the terms in the articles. And you can not. Not is really weirdly useful, but a bit tricky. So if you're finding infinite articles about Moby Dick and you don't want them, you can say, run my search, but not Moby Dick, and it'll kick that out. So this is super useful if you're getting lots of articles about the wrong country or the wrong thing or a related thing, or the wrong King George, whatever it is. If you're seeing lots of the wrong thing, you can try to kick it out with a not. The difficulty is that it'll kick out things that include your item. your search terms if they also include your not search terms. So use that carefully and cautiously, but it is a way to sort of weed out the stuff you don't want to see and get the stuff you do want to see. So we call those Boolean operators. Again, this comes from math, because really what we're doing here is computer science and math. But you can and or not these. The other useful thing here, if you're getting too many results, you can select fields for these. So you can make sure that the word whaling is in the title of the article, and that'll narrow it right down, or in the abstract, which will narrow it down a bit more. Source is the name of the journal the article comes in. So if someone has said, BC Studies is the journal for you, you can put that in the source and only search for articles in a particular journal. That's one way to also narrow things down a lot. And then if you want to make more results, you can do all text. All text is where it actually searches not the full text of the article in this case, but all the metadata, all the descriptive information, the whole abstract, everything the database knows about the article, it'll search against that. So that'll make your result set bigger. Okay. So if you're feeling stuck, you're not getting what you want, think about your search terms. You can either make them bigger. So rather than Atlantic, make it the whole world, or you can make it smaller. So rather than Atlantic, make it just Baffin Island. So bigger, smaller, adjust how you want to do with your keywords, and also with how you apply those keywords, searching against different fields, as we see here. Okay, this is all super useful, very important, useful stuff to know. Basic search, I didn't do the basic search because I had sort of 4 facets I wanted to look at, but you can just put whaling and Atlantic and 18th century in one line here, and you'll get very similar results. But you can do fancier things with advanced. And advanced doesn't mean you have to be advanced. Advanced just gives you additional tools to play with to get at what you're looking for. Okay, so this is how you search a database, input your keywords, make the best use of the most tools to get at what you really want and what you're trying to find. And it's really, really, really a useful skill to have, but it's not challenging. If you're feeling stuck, try things. Just try things. And then if you're still feeling stuck after a few minutes, contact askus@uvic.ca or contact me and we'll get you through. Okay, that is historical abstracts. Pretty cool, huh? Thanks very much and enjoy your research.